and print every third word in the same line. Original type smaller in the first line into that comma, but capitalize the fifth word that you write. Oh my gosh, I feel like crying. You ever have a teacher that like you just knew hated you and they hated teaching and they hated kids? Like I definitely had those teachers. I'm like, why are you even here? I know you hate me and you hate everything you do. That's how this felt. I'm about to take the 1960s Louisiana literacy test that was given to prevent them from being able to vote. I don't know how I'm going to do on this test. So let's dive in and see, would I have the right to vote in Louisiana in the 1960s? Hi, I'm Danielle Romero, and thank you so much for being with me today on my channel where we have been diving into hidden history and American identity. And today I'm going to take a test live. And it's not just any test. It's actually one of the actual tests that the state of Louisiana used. They called it a literacy test, but in reality, the point was to disenfranchise voters of color. And I'm going to take this test. I haven't really looked at it. I just kind of like glanced at it while I was printing it out. And before I tell you about this test, I want to give you a little bit of the history of why this test matters. And we'll take it. These were not just run-of-the-mill exams. These tests were specifically created to be confusing. So picture this, you walk into a voting booth and you're ready to exercise your constitutional right and you need to register to vote, but first you're gonna have a pop quiz. And these questions aren't high school civics questions for the most part. The tests usually have about 30 questions. This one has exactly 30 questions and you have just 10 minutes to take it. You don't know that it's what's on it. You don't know what's coming. The test varied by state to state because it was truly whatever people wanted to create for the test, they could create. There was no rules guiding this. Some of these tests did focus on citizenship and laws, others on logic. And this one I think is a little bit more of a logic one. One of the tests from Alabama focused really heavily on civic procedures with questions like, name the Attorney General of the United States, and can you be imprisoned under Alabama law for a debt? Now remember, these are questions that you need to answer before you're allowed to register to vote. Now in Georgia, some of the questions were pretty specific. And one of the questions was, if the governor of Georgia dies, who succeeds him? And if both the governor and the person who succeeds him die, so if both of these people die, who exercises the executive power? Now, but of all the states, Louisiana's test was by far the most incomprehensible. So I've heard, because I haven't taken it yet. There were no questions about the state's inner workings or civics or politics. Instead, a voter is presented with 30 questions that some say were so nonsensical and convoluted. Why are people being met with these tests at the voting booth? Well, let's go back. We have to go back to the Reconstruction era. And the Reconstruction era, I plan on doing a video on this, but basically we're talking about right after the end of the Civil War, right at the end, after the Emancipation Proclamation. And they're reconstructing society now with these freed people of color. The Reconstruction era gave us the 15th Amendment in 1870, which granted African American men the right to vote. And so a fleeting moment, it felt like maybe America was stepping towards like, okay, a new dawn. And just to give you a sense of how transformative this moment was, President Ulysses S. Grant won the popular vote by a razor-thin margin, thanks to these newly enfranchised African-American voters. And by the end of Reconstruction, over 2,000 freed African-American men had been elected to public office in the South. This is like catching a glimpse of a parallel universe of America where you're like, okay, she's living up to her ideals. Things are changing. Things are improving. But then the clock struck midnight. And now the 20th century, suddenly we have these tests. And so these southern states start playing like what they probably consider 4D chess with voting laws. And basically the goal was to keep Black Americans, people of color, away from the ballot box. So by the dawn of the 20th century, all the progress that had been made to expand the rights of these freed people and their descendants was severely crippled by this institution of state-specific voting laws. And they were specifically designed to create confusion, to keep people from being able to vote. It's an interesting history because these are not government sanctioned tests per se. But basically, the southern states had these elaborate voter registration processes. I'm going to take a test and we're going to come back to it. Now, I haven't looked through this test. And just to give, I'm going to take this off because I feel like it's going to be really loud. You know, not that it really matters, but, you know, to give some framework, like I've gone through, I have my master's degree, and I like math. So we're going to see how this test goes. It says the state of Louisiana literacy test. This test is to be given to anyone who cannot prove a 5th grade education. Okay, so if you can't prove it, I don't know how you proved it. I couldn't even prove that I had a 5th grade education. Do what you were told to do in each statement, nothing more, nothing less. Before I take this test, if you want to take this test along with me, I'll leave a link below if you want to pause it and print it out or just have it on hand. Be careful, as one wrong answer denotes failure of the test. You have 10 minutes to complete the test. 10 minutes to complete the test. Okay, so I'm going to set a timer on here. Get started. Draw a line around the number or letter of this sentence. A line. How do you draw a line around a number? I think I may have already failed. Draw a line under the last word in this line. Check. Cross out the longest word in this line. Okay, number 4. Draw a line around the shortest word in this line. Draw a line around the shortest word in this line. Circle the first letter of the alphabet in this line. The first letter. The first letter of the alphabet is A. The first time I'm seeing it is right here. In the space below, draw 3 circles inside one engulfed by the other. Wait, what? In this space below, draw 3 circles, one inside. But there's 3. 1, 2, 3. Is that engulfed by? Above the letter X, make a small cross. Got that one right. Draw a line through the letter below that comes earliest in the alphabet. What comes earliest? C. Draw a line through the 2 letters below that come last in the alphabet. Draw a line through the 2 letters below that come last in the alphabet. Z, a line through. And Y, took me a second. And the first circle below, write the last, in the first circle below, write the last letter of the first word beginning with L. Wait. In the first circle below, write the last letter of the first word beginning with L. The first word begins with an L, a T. This is really sick. Cross out the number necessary when making the number below 1 million. What? Cross out the number necessary when making a number below 1 million. If I cross out this, there's no 1 million. Draw a line from circle 2 to 5 that will pass below circle 2 and above circle 4. 2 to 5, below circle 2. In the line below, cross out each number that is more than 20 but less than 30. Right, cross out more than 20, less than 30. Okay, so I just finished first page and I draw a line under the first letter after draw a line under the first letter after H and draw a line through the second letter after J. How did they even come up with these questions? Draw a line under the first letter after H. Draw a line after first letter H. Okay, that's an I. This feels crazy. And draw a line through the second letter after J. 1, 2. In the space below, write the word noise backwards. Okay. I don't know if they mean, I'm guessing they don't mean the letters backwards. Like I don't need to do a mirror image of the letters. and place a dot over what would be its second letter should have been written forward. That is so stupid. Okay, a dot. Okay. Draw a triangle with a blackened circle that overlaps only its left corner. A triangle with a blackened circle. Look at the line of numbers below and place on the blank the number that should come next. 2, 4, 6, 8, 16, 32. Maybe I think it's everything's being doubled. Look at the line of numbers below and place on the blank the number that should come next. 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, so adding by threes. Draw in the space below a square with a triangle in it. And within that same triangle, draw a circle with a black dot in it. It's like Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Spell backwards, forwards. Spell backwards, forwards. Wait. It is forward. Spell backwards. I don't know what this means. I have 4 minutes, 31 seconds. I don't know what this means. Spell backwards, forwards. It is forward. Okay, I don't know what to do because I don't know. I can't skip it because if I skip it, and even if I got everything else right, I fail the test and I can't vote. Okay, I'm just going to jump to 21 and come back to that one. Print the word vote upside down but in the correct order. What? Upside down? That felt weird. Place a cross over the 10th letter in this line. I'm not going to finish. There's no way. I have 3 minutes 45. I have 3 minutes 45 seconds to go. I guess spell backwards forwards is just write it. Backwards. Okay. Place a cross over the 10th letter in this line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. A line under the first space in the sentence. First space in the sentence. And a circle around the last the in the second line of the sentence. That's really annoying. Draw a figure that is square in shape. Divide it in half by drawing a straight line from its northeast corner to its southwest corner. I think I need a compass for that. I mean, how could you not do what? Straight line from southwest corner. Then divide it once more by drawing a broken line from the middle of its western side. A broken line from the middle of its western side to the middle of its eastern side. I'm assuming if I'm seeing a compass, north, south, east, west. Okay, I'm at 23. I have 2 minutes, 30 seconds to go. I could still get to vote. Print a word that looks the same whether it's printed forward or backwards. Mom. Should I do 2? Should I do wow? Really well, then with 2 words. Write down on the line provided what you read in the triangle below. Paris in the spring. In the third square below, write the second letter of the 4th word. 1, 2, 3, 4. Q. Okay, I have 1 minute and 50 seconds to go. Write from left to right as you see it spelled here. Okay. Divide a vertical line into 2 equal parts by bisecting it with a curved horizontal line that is only straight at the spot of, okay, I think this is what they want me to do. But I mean, like, that is an outrageous question. Write every other word in this first line. Write every other word in this first line and print every third word in the same line. Original type smaller in the first line into that comma, but capitalize the 5th word that you write. Oh my gosh, I feel like crying. Write every word write every other word in this first line and print every third word in the same line. What's the difference between writing and printing? Like my writing is printing. Write every other word in this first line. Okay, I'm like out of time. Write every other word in this first line. Write every other word in this first line. Every other. Does that mean you start with the first word and then you skip? Write other in first. Write other in first. Okay, I have 10 seconds. There's no way I'm going to get this. And every. Oh gosh. Oh, it scared me. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay, so I failed. Like, I definitely failed because I didn't even finish the test. I feel like really like unnerved by this test. You know, did you ever have a teacher that like you just knew hated you and they hated teaching and they hated kids? Like I definitely had those teachers. I'm like, why are you even here? I know you hate me and you hate everything you do. That's how this felt. Okay, so I'm a little shaken by that test. I think I went into it thinking like I was doing pretty well. But let me pull up my notes on here. Here's the thing with these tests. Grading these tests was basically as subjective as the test. Think about the people that are administering these tests. They get to be as picky as they want because it's not like they're being monitored by anyone, right? They're just like a self-monitoring system. Obviously, they're intentionally confusing. Like the entire point is to fail you. That's the entire point. These voting literacy tests were made unconstitutional in 1965. But I want to fast forward to a professor named William W. Van Alstyne at Duke University. And he wanted to put these tests to the tests, pun intended. He had a little experiment where he asked constitutional law professors to answer some of the questions from the Alabama voter literacy test. And the Alabama voter literacy test was a civics focused test. So it was asking like these really obscure questions about the government and the process. And so remember, these are guys with like 20 years of education in constitutional law. And guess how they did? 70% of their answers were incorrect. They failed by like a huge amount. So finally, Lyndon B. Johnson is the president who signed the Voting Rights Act into law, which was the death knell for these literacy tests. And Black voter registration skyrocketed in places like Mississippi from 7% to 54% within 3 years. So these tests obviously were artificially suppressing people's right to vote. In particular, I feel like this was really meaningful to me to interact with because my mom's grandmother, Lola, was from Louisiana. She was born there in 1900 and she moved to New York in the 1920s. Actually, I think it was like 1930, maybe like 1931. And she changed her name, she changed her birthday, she changed her whole identity. And, you know, again, wrestling with these questions about, well, why would my family not tell me who they were? Why be so secretive about where you come from? Well, this is where she's coming from. Like this is happening in the 1960s. You know, my mom was born already when this test was being implemented. And so, you know, I don't have anything good to say about this. I have nothing good to say about this. But I think really getting into the weeds with this stuff and saying, okay, let's print it out and take it. Because talking about it is one thing. But there's just something else, you know, when you're getting your hands dirty and you're interacting with it yourself. And I think that's the best way to do history.